Welcome to the Swing Trading with Cycles channel. We're going to do an update on natural gas today, December 29th. We have one last day left for the trading year of 2022. One last day. Obviously, natural gas has gotten crushed. We're going to look at KOLD and boil and a little bit of UNG as well. Just look at the names at retail, can kind of play a little bit. But let's just look at natural gas itself. We'll kind of recap. If you haven't seen the previous videos, definitely take a look at those. Important to see that. We've been in a downtrend for a while. I'm not going to go over all the details. I have done that already in the previous videos. We're on day 17 of this cycle. The uptrend lasted 5 days, right? Like, this is day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. That was day 5. We then consolidated for a few days and then cascaded lower. We're on day 17 of this cycle. If the uptrend lasted 5 days, it means so far the downtrend has lasted 12 days. It appears it will go lower based on the way the lengths of these previous ones. Again, take a look at the previous videos. So that's the daily chart. And on the weekly chart, exact same kind of same principle. More important because it's a higher time frame. We have this big drop down. And again, this all comes down to trend analysis. How do prices actually sort of move, right? We have this big move down, then we have this move up. That's a lower high. That's going to be a lower low. That's going to be a lower high. That's going to be a lower low. That's our expectation, right? Prices trend. If we can understand the trends, we can get out ahead of them, right? I'll move this down to the monthly chart. So that's your monthly chart. Oh God, look at that. We've talked about this in the previous videos. Take a look at the previous videos. The low from this month was a magnet, and now we're below that low. Now it's going to be a question of, there's this low, and that low is $4.42. Does that low act as or excuse me, wait, is that right? Oh, right. This is glitchy a little bit here. But the question is going to be, does this low act as resistance, right, on the way back up? That's going to be your real tell. So far, I suspect that it will, right, that we've just started a downtrend on this time frame, right? Like boom, 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 right? But they're going to be small rallies, obviously, within. That's natural gas itself. What about something like boil? Man, that thing is leveraged. So and I saw someone, wow, look at that. It's been trying to bounce these last 4 days. And we're going to talk about KOLD, which is the opposite of this. It's leveraged to natural gas. So when natural gas goes, it's leveraged against natural gas, right? So this thing isn't leveraged to natural gas. So as natural gas goes lower, it goes even lower. And notice it has this pattern of going, as it makes its move lower, you get these green candles that are still going lower. That's really tough to trade, right? Like, oh my God, this thing is going lower, but it's green. Like in real time, that's tough, man. Like this thing in real time. What I mean by that is, like, if we look at an hourly chart, for instance, right? Like this thing is trying to trend up a little bit, and then the bottom falls out, and then trends up, and then the bottom falls out. So you have to be aware of that pattern a little bit, right? But more importantly, right, let's go back to the daily chart. Yeah, so you have these 4 days down, but all green. This thing is trying to bounce, right? Again, things can't go down in a straight line. Did that. It's trying to bounce. So maybe like that, and then that, right? And again, this is directly correlated to natural gas. But something like KOLD, look at that. Like, it's exactly the opposite. Notice that, right? That's not a coincidence. That's how price works, right? Like, you get exactly the opposite kind of action where we're making higher highs, but we're red, which is to say this is like a bearish wedge. That's more or less. But more importantly, you can think of this as like, what day is this in the rally, right? So that is day 11, right? So we've rallied for 11 days. We're just getting up to here, which is getting to be resistance. You imagine that we're going to try to test these levels up here. So right around the $41 area. Damn, we're down here at 26. And this thing has already doubled for the month, right? Like it went from 13 to 26. But there's a pullback is coming, folks. Like look at this. You don't get these, like, man, I mean, it's hard to stay long this, right? Like you don't get this move up with red candles without some kind of pullback coming. That said, I mean, think about, like, let's just look at the sort of time frame from that to that, right? So like from here to there. Wow, that's 26%, even with all that red, right? So tough trading, but that's your move, right? And if you understand price action, you can at least be on the right side of it. So that's cold. And if I look at the weekly chart, same kind of idea, right? So in this case, this would be week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Week 5 for cold, right? And again, this is like in the context of being basically down only since, like, what is that? Like November 2021, right? Like, whoosh. And if we look at Boyle, again, just kind of looking at the extremes here, give folks a sense of, right, this has been even more down only because it's against natural gas. In general, a leverage ETF is going to decay over time. But man, this thing is trying to make new all-time lows. Because the all-time low here is $17.05. And we're here at $18.45. So at this point, it seems incredibly unlikely that we don't make all-time lows, right? And again, that's what you get for a sort of leveraged ETF. And so that's the move. So that's your quick sort of recap. Let's just look at UNG, I guess, just to kind of close things out. Because that's technically not leveraged, but also not super stable. So on a daily chart, right, same kind of idea, right? Making these lower lows, but all green, right? So it's like, oh, this thing wants to bounce. What does the weekly look like? So on the weekly level, if we can recalibrate, so that's boom. That was a 24-week rally, and then we collapsed there. And then that was a, what is that? 8-week rally. Collapsed week 15. So that was a short cycle. And then we were up 5 weeks. And we're now on week 10, right? Because if you think about it, we're still in weekly cycle decline for natural gas as it's in and of itself. So it makes sense that this would also be in some kind of decline, not exactly mirroring the price action exactly per se, but definitely directionally in the same boat. So that is the lay of the land for natural gas. Again, it is heading lower, as I said in previous videos. 360 is my price target in early 2023. And so you want to be mindful of what that's going to do for things like Boyle or KOLD or UNG. So we'll leave it at that. Thanks, folks.